Good morning. Thank you for listening to yet another Star Trek podcast. I am your host, Drew. I am very tired. I'm joined by two guys who have probably gotten more sleep than I have. First of all, I'd like to introduce Majid. Majid, what's going on, man?
I hurt myself this morning. I think I was just telling you about that, and your response was good.
So, I think it's important to clarify that, hurting yourself refers to the gym and not like some self-harm.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm not self-mutilating. I'm a bit of a masochist in the sense that I like the pain I get in the gym.
You know, there are some people that would say that by going to the gym, you are inflicting self-harm. I think Brad's one of them. Brad, how are you?
Yeah, I mean, the stuff that Majid posts, the pictures and videos that he posts in our group chat, he does a lot of pain to himself.
It's true.
And just as a heads up for the listeners, Drew, Brad, and I, and a few others, we have a Discord. And Drew got so sick of me clouding up our main chat with my gifs of gym activity, he created another sub channel just for me to post
a dedicated
gifs.
Channel for Majid to post.
Right. He named it The Gym, but I'm the only person posting in here.
Well, that's because I haven't worked out in 6 months. That was when I made it. It wasn't the intention. I figured that would be a good place for you and I and anybody else that wanted to discuss our
right.
But
health
let's
and
face
fitness.
it, though, Drew. Like, the only person that really works out is Majid.
And Franks goes in there. Franks goes in there, and he gets motivated to reply with some kind of right to chop wood.
Chop wood.
With Franks he just chops wood with his bare hands. I was telling Brad about that. Like, Brad's gonna get to that level, but Franks is all about that hand motion. Chop.
Oh man. So we are recording what could potentially be the last episode before Brad goes on paternity leave.
Allegedly.
That is correct. It's any day now, counting down to the wire, man.
Yeah. How do you feel?
I am extremely excited and totally looking forward to getting to meet the little bundle of joy. It's going to be a new life experience.
Brad has been banking sleep hours, so when the baby gets here, if he is sleep deprived, he can just go into this bucket of.
True. That's exactly what I've been doing. I've been trying to sleep more right now as much as possible, because I'm like, yep, as soon as that little bundle of joy arrives, I ain't getting anything. It's not gonna happen.
I'll see if I can donate a few hours of sleep to you as well.
You know what? You were mentioning that we get more sleep. You know what? But when that happens, you're gonna get more sleep.
Yeah, Brad, listen, we've talked about this, and I will remind you that when the baby gets here, and you have something of the baby's, like a sock or something, you gotta take it to the cat, and you have to introduce the cat to the baby's scent.
Yep, that is the plan. If I get a chance, I'll go home from the hospital and bring like a blanket or something. Otherwise, we're locking not locking, but we're keeping the baby's room closed so the cat doesn't go in there. And like it's very rare that we ever let her in. It's just more of like she sneaks in while we're working in there. Mm-hmm. She's like, I want to go into this room. I never get to go in here. But yeah, for the most part, we've been kind of like keeping her out, so she knows that she's not allowed in that room.
You may be surprised though. She may actually,
Cats are very territorial. I remember when my daughter was born, Snowball was, basically the only thing I had in the house besides my wife. It's not a thing. Should I rephrase that? No, I'm good. I was able to backpedal that. Anyway, we set up the baby's room, and we set up like a little, not a bassinet, but it was like a little sleeping thing. And Snowball snuck in there and he peed on it. He marked his territory. He thought that was his room, which was very, very upsetting. My wife was very upset about it. And that was when we got really worried that Snowball was going to, hurt the baby.
Snowball was a male cat, right?
Snowball was a male cat. I had Snowball since I was maybe 13, 14 years old. And by the time I had my daughter, I think I was maybe 20 something. So he was, he was a good age. So he had only known me. And then my wife, he had basically had to share me with her, and then now splitting his time even more. I don't know if he was. I thought he was gonna be really upset about it, but he ended up being okay. But he was also too old to fight back.
I've heard female cats are a little bit more, a little less territorial when it comes to adding new members. We'll see though. Do the slow addition, but my cat Paige is she's always super friendly with anybody. It doesn't really even matter if you've been in the house for 5 years or just been you come in for the first time. She's always like super curious, looking forward to meet somebody. So I'm not too concerned, but I do want to make sure I do it right, and I think I can get her on the same page.
Yeah. I have a feeling that Paige is going to mother her.
I kind of feel so too. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was. I remember, Drew, when you met her. She just came up to you and was like, "Hey, how you doing?"
She was a sweetheart, absolute sweetheart.
When did you meet Paige? Because I never met Paige. You been to Brad's house?
Yeah.
And when he was living in Queens, yeah.
Brad used to live in Queens?
Yep.
Yeah.
Remember when we went to New York Comic Con? I came from Queens.
You came from Queens?
Yeah.
I thought you were just like somewhere else. I didn't know it was Queens.
Some point, yeah. And Drew came over. I think it was my birthday or something. Or no, it was like for my birthday. It was Cinco de Mayo, and we went to go to a Mexican restaurant. It was like a 45-minute wait for our food to get there.
Did you ever take Drew to the German restaurant in New York?
I was there with you guys.
You were there with
we went
us?
there together, yeah.
Yeah, there's photos, photographic evidence with our friend
Frank's
and I'm trying to think of a good name. Crude.
like the oil, KRUDE. That was a good cover. No one ever decipher that code you just threw out there for everybody.
Yeah.
Hey guys, you know what this podcast is about though? Star Trek.
Well, why don't we just jump right into it, shall we?
I didn't have a good segue. I'm sorry.
Hey, I liked it. Sometimes you just got to use a sledgehammer.
And Majid's not even hosting today.
I know. Look at that.
Next week,
look at him all being all hosty and stuff.
He's preparing for the next week. Yeah.
I need to listen. After we're done here, I have to go ice my body. I gotta post some of the bloopers. Yeah, I have to post some of the bloopers because it was bad. Maybe we can put some Benny Hill music on it.
I was thinking about throwing up the sexy music when you said "ice my body."
Ice my body. There you go. There's your soundbite.
This week we watched The Squire of Gothos, another godlike episode. We are...
Isn't it Go-Thos?
I don't know. Go-Thos?
I mean,
Ga-Thos?
Ga-Thos sounds right.
But that has like an A sound.
All right, so Go-Thos maybe. But Go-Thos to me sounds like GoPro.
But
I get it. Don't mess with my headcanon, okay?
Hold on. I'm looking to see if there's any sort of pronunciation. Go-Thos.
How did Melvar pronounce it?
Ga-Thos? Go-Thos? Ga-Thos. Go-Thos. Oh. I'll say Go-Thos. You're probably right.
This is the Star Trek podcast where we need to make sure we properly pronounce everything.
Have you met Star Trek fans?
I met you.
Yeah. And how much shit have I given you guys over the past 30 episodes?
2.
2
At
shifts?
least two. Yeah, she gave us at least 2.
This week we watched The Squire of Gothos, another godlike episode, which is interesting because now we're, how many episodes into the original series are we? This is episode 17 of season 1. And I feel like we've had at least 10 episodes that are God episodes of some sort.
Yeah.
Does that sound about right? Or am I,
Yeah.
am I reaching a little?
The Charlie X was kind of the Man Trap. Was that?
No,
The
that
Man
was the
Trap
Salt Vampire.
was with the Salt Vampire, which again
Oh, that's right.
listen. I texted Drew one night. Brad, you may have been sleeping, but I was watching Lower Decks, and Ransom was dating a Salt Vampire, and I get that reference. That was,
The Lower Decks references are starting to really start to click now.
Yeah,
There's also
it's so good.
Where no man has gone before.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Gary Mitchell's in it.
How'd they take care of this last time? They hit him with a rock.
No, I think this is like I think it was like maybe 4 episodes with God.
So 10 is
3 or
reaching.
4.
10 is reaching.
I'm really excited. By the way, just really quick, we have new episodes of Lower Decks in like 3 or 4 days. It's gonna be so great.
I can't wait. I'm so excited. So excited. I love that show so much. Okay. The crew of the Enterprise are passing through an area of space that appears to be a void of solar systems. Suddenly, Spock identifies a planet that seems to have just appeared out of nowhere, with no records of it being there. Without warning, both Sulu and Kirk blink out of existence, and there's no explanation. The crew orbit the mysterious planet, and from their readings, it's clearly a desolate planet where it is very unlikely anyone could survive. A strange and cryptic message comes through, a clear indication that there is, in fact, some sort of life.
It was like a little bit of Shakespeare, it felt. Hear ye kind of thing.
Yeah, so it was like greetings and...
salutations?
It wasn't salutations, but it was in the vein of...
Yeah.
Greetings. I like the part where Spock's like, I believe it is pronounced tally-ho.
Yeah, that was perfect.
Yeah. Very strange. Anyway, McCoy, DeSalle, and some dude named Jägermeister.
Sorry.
They all beam down to the planet with protective gear in an attempt to find Sulu and Kirk. Upon arrival, it's clear that their readings were wrong, and it actually does have an Earth-like atmosphere. So they just haphazardly strip off their survival masks and start breathing in the air, no regard to their own personal safety.
You know,
that's Star Trek healthcare. It's so good.
So it's funny, like that is. I want to say like, oh, that's unique to TOS, but if you think about all the other seasons, they keep doing this crap in other series.
You know, in TNG and going forward, they came up with at least the cheat code that the transporter buffer removes things that don't belong, or it senses them on the way up, so it'll stop the beaming process.
And I think at one point, like that didn't happen properly in one episode, if I remember correctly.
Oh, I'm sure. Yep.
I want to say like Voyager or something. Oh, Voyager. It was like Macrovirus, maybe. I don't know.
I haven't seen Voyager in a while, but I'm sure you're right, and I'm almost positive they've done it in TNG at least once. Too.
Oh, I'm sure.
Let's see here. The away team members find King Arthur's castle, and as expected, they find both Sulu and Kirk there, but they're frozen in place. A being who calls himself General Trelane, aka the Squire, shows up and starts showing off his godlike powers by playing the piano. What the hell is that thing called? It's not a piano.
Organ?
No, there's a name for a harpsichord?
Isn't a harpsichord being like...
That's what I'm trying to think. Piano-like instruments. No, it was a harpsichord. Definitely a harpsichord. Okay. Yeah, so he was playing a harpsichord. And, yeah. What'd you think of his godlike piano harpsichord powers?
I mean, he should keep practicing.
Yeah, I think he needs a little work. But yeah, so far, you know, we got a little bit of a mystery going on here. They find Kirk and Sulu both frozen, green, covered in green light, and then they come across this weird dude who's just sitting there acting all chummy while he's playing his music. And yeah. And any thoughts so far?
This honestly reminds me so much of Q. Like I feel like when they were writing the character, this episode truly inspired them.
Well, John Delancey actually believed that Q was inspired by Trelane.
Oh,
And
there's
there's a ton of speculation from the fan base that Trelane was a Q, almost to the point where it's practically canon. So, anyhow,
including the two parents too.
Including the two parents, yeah. Can you imagine Q's parents?
What are you doing? Stop playing with these humans.
Trelane's power appears to have its limits when the crew of the Enterprise managed to beam the missing crew members back on board. This escape is short-lived when Trelane appears on the Enterprise and transports several crew members back to the planet. The crew play along as they attempt to figure out Trelane's weakness. Kirk devises a plan that consists of just insulting Trelane and really trying to belittle him to try to get his emotions riled. So, of course, this leads to the most natural thing possible. A duel to the death with pistols. Trelane takes the first shot, but shoots into the air, trusting Kirk completely. Kirk instead shoots the mirror next to Trelane, believing that might be the source of his power. And sure enough, well, there's something to it. The crew leave the...
It really just pisses him off.
Yeah. The crew leave the planet, however, and it seems that they're going in circles as they keep passing by the same planet of Go-Thos. That was a really weird sequence, by the way.
I feel like what it was is everybody was like, hey, you need to turn right here, you need to turn right here, and then you need to turn right here, and then one more right, and then you're good. But then they don't realize that's actually just a full circle.
Yeah. Accurate.
Brad just blew my mind.
Kirk goes back to the planet and is held on trial by Trelane. Things don't go as expected, though. Kirk is apparently going to be hanged. He attempts to reason with Trelane by calling him names, because, you know, that worked the first time. Eventually, Kirk talks him into a bit of a game of cat and mouse where Trelane hunts Kirk, and Kirk is expected to hide. After Kirk and Trelane go at it for several minutes, two strange energy ghost blobs appear. Turns out that Trelane's actually a kid. It was just toying with the Enterprise. The parents take Trelane and let the Enterprise go. Everything seems right in the world as the Enterprise leaves, ignoring pretty much everything else. To sum up this episode, sadly we missed out on Jaeger bombs. Trelane is clearly just Q when he was a boy, and well, even gods have a bedtime. Gentlemen, that was an episode.
I honestly cannot stop thinking of how much like the ideals of Q and like that the encounter at Farpoint was kind of like inspired in some sense by this. Like
the character definitely evolved as Next Generation went on, but early episodes of Q are a mirror of Trelane.
Mm-hmm. Well, even the trial of Kirk versus the trial of Picard, or sorry, I should say humanity, because it wasn't Picard who was on trial.
Right.
It kind of mirrored in a strange, eerie sense that like it felt so similar, like that everything was just, it felt connected.
Yeah. Majid, do you have any experience with the Q character at all?
Only from what I know from Lower Decks. That they want to play. They want to play chess, right?
Not quite.
Yes, yeah. You know what? I'll just go with that one. That's probably the best answer. So basically, the Q are a group of individuals that are all named Q, and they're, for the lack of better words, godlike beings, and they pop in throughout Star Trek's shows. I think it started in the Encounter of Farpoint was the first episode that you see them, and they kind of are here and there throughout the episodes. It is basically God. There are some circumstances where, like, did you see Picard season 2?
Buddy, I haven't even got past Picard season 1, episode 1.
Okay, well, fair enough. But yeah, like, it's basically God who kind of just messes around, and he's kind of a child in the beginning. Very childish behaviors, and it gets him into a lot of trouble.
The character of Q is problematic because, like, he's kind of omniscient, so he could do anything and get away with just about anything, and it leaves, like, a lot of plot holes, you know, because, like, in order for the Enterprise crew to, like, outsmart him, there has to be, like, convenience, and I kind of see some parallels here as well too, you know.
So, like, one of the things that both Q and Trelane kind of share is the, like, they act like they know everything, but they don't.
Yeah, knowledge and hubris seems to be the weak point. And with Trelane, it's more of a matter of immaturity because he's a kid. But with
did they mention how old he was to be classified as a kid?
No, they did not. No, but it certainly was dinner time. So
yeah, clearly, go into your room.
Yeah, that was basically
put away your toys and go into your room.
Yeah, that was basically Melvar vibes from Futurama.
100%, 100%. Yeah,
I think that's one of the things that's really nice about Futurama, is that it does mirror a lot of the funny parts, and then I think that's what Lower Decks has been really excelling at, is they've been poking fun at all the areas that are kind of like WTF.
Yeah, you can always tell when someone is a fan of the show or a fan of the source material that they treat it with so much respect, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, Lower Decks, far and away, you know, is a love letter to Star Trek. But even a show like Futurama has pulled that off as well, too. You know, and whether it's indirectly through various episodes or directly with a tribute like Where No Fan Has Gone Before.
So, Majid, what are your thoughts on this episode? Did this kind of did you enjoy another godlike episode?
I didn't. I think this was more in line with me not enjoying the episode from last week either. You know, I don't know, man. I just didn't like it. You know, I didn't even remember what happened at the end. It was just,
it didn't catch your interest.
Yeah. You know what did interest me in this episode was the what's the word I'm looking for? My God, what is the word I'm looking for? Kirk takes the pistol and he shoots the mirror. I said, "Oh wow, cool! So it's a species of robot, something. They're cyborg, they're androids. That would have been interesting." And then no, you know, Q light still disappears. You know, randomly, he pops out of existence. I also did think it was funny the sound effects they used when Kirk destroyed that mirror machine.
What were they? Can you emulate them for me?
No, they were goofy as hell though.
Were they?
Yeah, I need to go back. Maybe I'll
if
try
I remember correctly, it's like these random like gears kind of breaking or something.
Yeah.
Can you emulate them for me, Brad?
No, you're on your own.
Yeah. Damn. Brad has upgraded his firmware to the point where he doesn't use gears anymore. It's all hydraulics.
I didn't realize that's how firmware works, but okay.
I mean, there's people that don't know how firmware works. You don't have to call me out.
So, Drew, I have a theory, and you know, this could make a few people upset, but my theory is that anything that's godlike related, like all these godlike episodes, not just TOS, but like anything that's godlike related in Voyager, Star Trek, DS9, like they're all the Q. They're all one entity. Because it to me it feels so odd, like to have so many different beings of such great power to not be connected in a way.
So how many godlike episodes do we have in Voyager or past TNG? Like I'm struggling to think of how many there are in Deep Space Nine. I don't count things like the Prophets or the Pa Wraiths or because those are clearly some sort of alien entity.
But why not though? Why can't you count them? Because like to me they do act in certain ways even without the orb. Sometimes like all of a sudden like it randomly just acts a certain way. However, the Pa Wraith and the Prophets, they could be technically, I guess, two different species because they were at war with each other.
Yeah, and
so they could be just two different godlike species.
I kind of always interpreted them as like two different factions of the same species, but it could be that too.
It could be either of those.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there were any other episodes in DS9 that were like that.
What was that being called that was in Discovery? Where was it? It was like a Time Lord type thing where he creates like this time portal, and has Giorgio go into like an alternate version.
Harry Mudd.
Timeline. What's that?
Harry Mudd.
Yeah. No.
No, that was so good.
That was the Guardian of Forever.
Guardian of Forever. And like, so wouldn't that technically be like kind of like a godlike power type being?
I think for what you're referring to specifically, not the same type of god. No, I would say no.
So it's just then like then there's only the only other explanation is if it's not just a everybody's a Q. Then the other explanation is that there's another layer to Star Trek, and it's the God layer, and that's the Q. That's like the Guardian of Forever, the Pa Wraith. Like then there's like another layer that's beyond that we have no idea on.
Would you say that Charlie X is a Q?
Probably.
Is he though?
I disagree.
Because you know what that reminds me of when Riker got his powers.
Riker got powers? I thought he was just naturally charismatic and sensual.
Q gave him powers.
Yeah, there's an episode where he briefly has some Q powers.
Okay, but he's just a ladies' man, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, he doesn't need no Q powers to put the moves on.
Yeah, because like I remember Charlie X, to me that felt so much similar to when Riker got powers, and it just felt that kind of way.
Well, Charlie's powers were primarily on making things disappear, right? He didn't have the ability to conjure anything up.
No, but maybe he was young. That's how the Q are born.
Maybe we'll get a Q origin episode somewhere.
I'd be down for that.
I would be down for that, yeah.
Or
I've always wanted is a Borg origin episode. I would love to see how like the Borg actually come into existence.
Well, Skynet becomes self-aware. Millions of years pass, and they upgrade to physical bodies that, are basically biological and they can assimilate.
Yeah. There's a lot of fan theories out there that V'ger is responsible for the Borg.
Who knows?
But nothing that's ever been confirmed. So,
but we digress and sidetrack.
So there's one thing that I do think that this episode suffers from, and it's a pattern that I've started to see in the past few episodes that we've been watching of this show, and it's that they take an idea and they really stretch it out to fill up a 60-minute episode. Do you guys think that they stretched the taffy a little long on this one? Or do you think it was...
Yes. Yeah. Listen, the moment that Kirk killed the mirror, the episode should have been over. That's it.
I disagree. To me, it was a self-contained story that had no repercussions. But I think this is more my jam. Like I actually enjoy this type of episode.
Right. None of these episodes have repercussions. Like seriously, they friggin' time traveled and there were no repercussions.
You're never gonna let
no,
that.
I'm never gonna give it up.
3 days, yeah.
No, I'm never gonna give it up. I'm never gonna let it down. I'm never gonna run around and let it desert me.
I understand where you're coming from on that question, Drew. But I think it's all matter of context of the episode, because I think about Shore Leave, and Shore Leave to me was just like a hot mess where it was just all random, like nothing made any type of sense. While this didn't make sense in the normal side of things, however, it wasn't all random, so to say.
It was coherent.
You had a main villain of the story. Granted, it was like apparently a kid, but still, you still had that main identified villain who is dragging the story along with him.
Right.
And so it didn't feel overly stretched to me, and that because of that.
Yeah, that makes sense, and I could definitely agree with what you're saying there.
But in terms of there being a common trend, Drew, the whole reveal at the end where it's the whole episode has happened because of X, and then they put a nice bow tie in it and it's all over. The Shore Leave episode was a good example of that, where it, the caretaker comes out of nowhere and just like, hey guys, it's a magical wonderland where you can do whatever you want. Bow tie in the episode, everybody freeze frame and laugh at the end. That's it.
Oh, that freeze frame at the end really bothered me.
Yeah.
Like to me, that was just like the most absurd, and it felt so out of place for the entirety of the episode.
I guess that's the last repercussions for Brad, is the trauma that the freeze frame caused him.
No, it's the lack of acknowledgement of anything that happened. It's like, oh, Spock, you learned your lesson. Ha ha ha. Let alone, was it 3 other crew member died?
No, I'm talking about Shore Leave, the one with the Fantasy Island. You're thinking of the Galileo 7.
The Galileo 7, yeah. Oh yeah, and then the Shore Leave where nobody really acknowledged or anything. Just like, oh, you learned your lesson that way. Okay, got it. But still, either way, both were just so poorly done.
I love that you feel this way about those episodes, but when I complain to you about time travel, you're like, Majid.
Oh, time travel is one of those things that you just kind of have to accept, unfortunately, in Star Trek.
That's what I accepted about you.
Yeah, I mean, but Brad is right to a point with that. Like, it's you've hung your hat on an episode that is inconsequential.
You do keep bringing back this one episode that we've...
Because it bothers me. It bothers me. It
was 1966.
And how many months has it been since we watched that episode?
Too many.
You know what? There's one thing I can truly rely upon you, is that every now and then, Majid, you will always bring up time travel and how much it bothers you. It may not be every episode, but at least once every other episode, it feels like it.
I'm okay with time travel if it's handled properly. Again,
we need yet another Star Trek podcast bingo cards.
Clearly,
for every episode, is time travel brought up? Is Brad a time traveling robot?
Did I get a demerit?
Did Red? Yeah, right.
Demerit, that'll be the free space. Demerits will be the free space.
Did Drew get triggered?
Yeah.
Oh man, we should totally create that for our next episode.
If there's any listeners out there that would like to make a bingo card for us, we'd love to have you play along.
Screw that, man. I'm gonna make one.
All right, there we go. Done.
No, he's not. He has like a baby coming. There's no way. There's no way. He has to practice putting on diapers on a cat.
In truth, I do have a baby coming. However, when I'm on the toilet, I can still do things.
Hold on. I don't want to let this slip by. Brad, are you trying to put diapers on your cat?
How do you
no comment on that one.
How do you practice otherwise?
You go to a class and they give you a baby, like a
wait. They give you oh my god.
No, they give you a doll, and they give you a baby doll, and they're like, hey, here you go, put diapers on this thing.
Brad's like, yeah, I learned
how to swaddle and everything, man.
Brad's like, I just went to this place. They gave me a baby. It was, I don't know, one time it was live.
That's how it works nowadays.
Like Brad went to the maternity ward at a hospital. He just started putting diapers on babies.
Oh my god.
The thought of Brad just walking into a place and getting a random baby and just putting diapers on him, it's funny and creepy at the same time. Sorry, Brad, I love you.
Love you too.
So let's talk about Trelane, the character, Trelane, the actor, just Trelane in general. What did you guys think of that performance?
It's funny, Drew. Like, I've known of the character for years, but I never knew anything about the character, like who he was or what he was. And like, I'll be honest, man, I did not expect this episode from that character. Like, I expected it to be one of those time traveling episodes, or this episode where it was like another civilization that was living out, 17th century like Europe type of deal. But to have it be a godlike power type character episode, it kind of threw me off. But I did like the character. I liked his portrayal of like a godlike character. It actually reminded me so much of Q. That's kind of why it feels so related to that character.
I basically thought he was Harry Mudd.
Similarities, sure.
I can see that. I feel like Harry Mudd is more swashbuckling, like a pirate, as opposed to some sort of countess or to some sort of king type feel, or squire, I should say.
Wait, you just say Kang, like Kang the Conqueror?
I said king.
Oh, listen, I got really excited. I got really, really excited. Like, oh my god, yay, comics. Something that you and I could talk about, and then Drew can sit there twiddling his thumbs, getting angry, seething.
The character was so over the top, but I think the actor did a tremendous job of keeping it campy, but also threatening at the same time. Like, that's a tough line to walk. And I think he did a pretty good job with that. By the way, Brad, this actor, William Campbell, we'll see him again in a few more episodes as a Klingon.
Oh, I love when they do that type of stuff.
Yeah, so he plays Koloth, who we'll see in Trouble with Tribbles. And then later on, we'll see him again in Deep Space Nine, reprising the same role. It's
like Jeffrey Combs is probably my favorite. But like I actually enjoy when they do reuse. You know, it's funny, Drew. Like, you get certain actors who just randomly show up, and like you don't really know it at first because they're so heavily makeuped in like the later years. I'm hoping it's a little easier for us to identify him, but we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'll be kind of curious just to know if you guys pick it out when we see it.
I'm probably not gonna.
Yeah, you have face blindness.
I don't see faces.
I said what I said. Let's see here. What do you guys think of the approach that Kirk took to try to get Trelane to break?
I felt that was a little premature decision to kind of go with and be like, oh yeah, I'll what's the worst that can happen? I'll just kind of rile him up. To me, it was like a bit of a jump from the hey, it's a godlike being to I'm gonna treat him like a child, rile him up a bit.
Yeah. That was kind of a harsh reaction. It felt like Kirk was just kind of like throwing shit against the wall to see what would stick.
Yeah, pretty much.
He tried to reason with him. That didn't work, so now he's going to try to, break him by
do
pissing
an
him
outburst.
off. Yeah. Majid, any thoughts?
I think it was classic Kirk trying to antagonize for the sake of getting results, which we've seen time and time again. He'll play it fast and loose. He's a cowboy.
Yeah, he has done that quite a few times. It seems like triggering people is like his number
go-to.
one.
His like ace in the hole.
Yeah.
His superpower.
His superpower, basically.
Listen,
yeah.
if I had the ability to trigger Drew the way that Kirk triggers his opponents, I'd be so happy.
Why?
Trigger Drew is great. I think he's very underrated. I think when Drew is yelling at the clouds because he got triggered, I think it's just great entertainment.
I'm hurt.
Why?
Because why would you want me to be angry?
Oh, listen, I'm not saying you're angry. I'm saying triggered.
Triggered
Like
equals
this.
angry.
Triggered is not always angry. Triggered is passionate. Are you getting triggered right now?
A little bit. Gentlemen.
Remember it's Majid who triggers you, not me.
That's not true. That's not true. Listen, if we go back a few weeks,
Brad has triggered me
That was
once.
like
Brad
one
has triggered.
time.
Brad
No,
has triggered
twice.
me once. Brad has
No,
triggered me once.
Twice, at least twice, and it was during Strange New Worlds with Zaddy Pike. That's when he triggered you.
The
that's what
episode
we're
that
talking about.
Brad triggered me in All Those Who Wander. And I'm
Yes.
pretty sure that was the only episode.
Which was the one with in Strange New Worlds? It was the one where Mbanga's daughter. Was that the All Those?
Oh,
Who
it was
Wander?
Elysian Kingdom, but
Right.
I don't remember Brad triggering me in that.
No, Brad triggered you. Talk me about how Mbanga's story
Okay,
was basically
maybe
wrapping up.
twice. Maybe
Okay.
twice then.
So he's triggered me 2 times, and you've triggered me the other 28 times.
Listen, I
Including
wish I had
right now.
I
Including
wish
right now.
I wish I had that kind of track record, Drew. I clearly don't have that kind of track record.
See, this is why we need bingo. Just there you go. Got a stamp.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
The bingo card says Drew Rage. It's so funny. It's so funny to me. Oh God. Metro comes in to try and soothe you by biting your thumb.
Yeah, he's good at that. All right. Guys, do you have anything else you want to add, or should we move on to our final thoughts?
I'm
We're on
okay
to
with
the
final thoughts.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
All right. So, Brad, I'm going to start with you. What'd you think of this
know,
episode?
When we were going into this episode, I had no idea what to expect. And then the more the episode played out, I kind of thought I wasn't going to enjoy it. It up until the point when we were introduced to Trelane, I thought it was just gonna be like one of those mystery episodes, people disappear, kind of whatever. But the further we got into the episode, the more ridiculous the episode got, and I love those types of episodes. Those are the ones that really kind of resonate with me. I enjoyed the overall silliness to it, the ridiculousness to it. Everything about it just made me laugh. So I had a good time. And so because of that, I am giving this episode an 8.
Nice. That's
Ooh, fancy.
higher than I expected, but I totally understand where you're coming from.
It's I can understand why somebody would not care for the episode too much. So I want to emphasize that part. But overall, it was just fun for me to enjoy, and I really liked it.
Majid, I know you're gonna have a completely opposite reaction, so go ahead.
Oh, not the opposite reaction. Just I don't agree with Brad at all. I don't think the episode was good. I don't think it was bad. I think that it held my attention for maybe, how long was the episode? 50 minutes, right?
Yeah.
I think it held my attention for 20 or so, 25, and then lost me again. But
So
I would give
apathy.
it huh?
Apathy. A lot of apathetic feelings coming from you right now. Because you're indifferent. You don't care. You don't feel good about it. You don't feel bad about it. You just don't care.
Yeah, I'm right in the fence. So 5
Okay.
out of 10.
Yeah, I understand how the scoring scale works.
So no. His normal scale is out of 6, so therefore it's a high score for him.
It's a 5
Wait.
out of 7.
Wait, are we doing normally 5 out of 10 or 5 out of 6? Because at that point, I'll give it 3.5.
I have no answer to this one.
We're on the 30th episode. You don't understand how the scoring system works. Come on.
Hey, Brad,
Right.
and that's how you trigger Drew.
Wow, Drew, you see that? You see that there, buddy?
Oh yeah, I'm seeing it in real time.
I have to
I
talk
think
with Franks. I feel like Franks, if anybody, could trigger you just with without effort, with minimal effort.
I think he'd be sitting there the entire time coming up with dad jokes. Trying
Well, I
to
mean,
trigger us.
4 kids, 1 money.
I think I kind of sit with you guys in the middle here with this episode. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun episode. It was interesting to kind of see the foundations of a character that would be very prominent in Star Trek later on down the line. And even if Trelane was never intended to be a Q, or if Q was never intended to be of the same species as Trelane, there are a ton of similarities between the two, and the stories are almost identical, up to a point. But I think that it didn't completely hold my attention 100% of the time. I did find my attention wavering a little bit. There's certain elements of the episode that I don't have a strong recollection of because I was distracted by something else. But all that said, if this was on, I'd leave it on. Probably wouldn't start it from the beginning, but I think it's a good episode worth a 7.
Ooh, a 7. Mm-hmm. I'll be interested to see what you give Arena next week.
So am I. I don't know anything about the episode aside from the memes that we've seen of, the Gorn attacking Kirk very, very slowly.
He does it slowly?
Yeah. Those aren't slowed down.
Yeah.
He's like swinging his arm. Yeah, that's in real time.
So sometimes when you have like an abundance of strength, you don't have to swing things really, really fast, Drew. Sometimes things just go slower because of the amount of, muscle.
Does that
power
work for
behind
you?
it.
Do you use your muscle to swing things really slowly?
I know that I use my muscle to pick things off my chest really, really slowly. Or pick things up off the floor really, really slowly.
Do you put them down when you're done?
I drop them.
That's rude.
He picks things up, puts things down.
No, I pick things up and drop them down.
That's really rude of you.
I mean,
you
that's what you do at the... you drop weights at the gym. Like, it's kind of a thing. You're supposed to drop the weights after a good set.
Says who?
Gym culture.
Who decides that?
Drop it like a ta. Drop it like a ta.
Not Planet Fitness. That's one demerit for Brad. But not Planet Fitness. You can't drop things at Planet Fitness unless you want to get banned. And then at that point, you just keep hitting that level.
So wouldn't that indicate that it's not appropriate?
Just at that one specific gym, yeah. But at every other gym, it's acceptable.
I wouldn't want my weights dropped on the floor repeatedly. Like, that's going to damage them. That's going to damage the floor.
No, because they have the high impact rubber flooring.
Yeah, but it's going to damage the rubber flooring.
But it's high impact.
So?
And it's only, it's not
that's for in case you accidentally drop it.
It's not so you intentionally drop it. Like, that's just rude and disrespectful for the other people that are in the gym also working out.
At 5 o'clock in the morning, there's nobody else there.
So Majid, how many other people do you see drop the weights like that?
2.
Out of how many?
2.
2. There's nobody else there when I'm there, Brett. Like, it's,
All right. So what I recommend, go there when other people are there and see what they do.
I think what you should do, Majid, is if you really want to test your strength, you should put the weights down nicely, because that requires more effort than dropping them.
Truth.
No. I'll tell you what, why don't you come with me one day and I'll show you why it needs to be dropped.
If I was to join you at the gym, I would set the weights down.
If you were to join me at the gym, I think that you get so hyped up and fired up and amped that you'd want to drop the weights.
Majid's the type of person who is like, I'm gonna throw this weight against the mirror, see what happens.
Oh my God! There is a GIF of somebody doing barbell curls, and then he's looking in the mirror, and then after he's done, he's just like, wow, just throws.
Was that Terry Crews?
No, it's not.
I'm starting to see some parallels here with Majid and Trelane.
Clearly,
yeah. Majid just throwing weights around. Sounds like Trelane having a temper tantrum.
Listen, sometimes when you're working with weights and it's not doing what you want to do, you got to throw it.
Yeah, because it's a weight and it's responsive to your commands. Yes.
It's an obstacle that you have to overcome.
Sounds like a personal problem.
It is. It really is. Listen, you have no idea how personal I make this. I'm basically Liam Neeson, and the weights have taken my daughter.
What?
Anyway, guys, so next week we'll be watching Arena.
I don't really know how to respond to that one.
You don't need
Mr. Liam Nielsen.
It was the movie Taken.
What movie?
Taken.
Never heard of it.
That doesn't surprise me, actually.
I've never heard of either.
That also doesn't surprise me.
So next week we're watching Arena. Kirk battles an alien captain who has destroyed a Federation outpost. That's it.
Romulan?
It's the Gorn!
Oh.
Yay!
Gentlemen.
I'm excited.
Anything else you want to mention before we wrap this thing up for the day?
Nope, I'm good.
No, I'm okay.
On that note, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening to yet another Star Trek podcast. We're part of the Retro Sessions Network. This episode was recorded on Monday, August 22nd, 2022. It's hosted by myself, Drew, Brad, and Majid. Thanks to Brad for writing up the wonderful synopsis of the episode. Thanks to Majid for handling our artwork. And thanks to me for editing it, because I'm great. We also want to thank two very special people. First of all, William Grobelar for taking care of our music. You can check out his songs Warp Speed, To the Stars, and so many others on his SoundCloud page. There's a link for that in the show notes. And also, we would like to thank George Ratau for doing some wonderful artwork of us as Lower Decks characters. He's got a Fiverr page, and if you'd like to hire him, have his work done, you can do that by clicking on the link in the show notes there, too. Of course, in addition to all those links, we also have links to our website, our Twitter, our Facebook, our Instagram, our TikTok. or you can just search for @YetAnotherSTPod. Or if you want to check out our website, it's yetanothersTpod.com. Next week, we're watching Arena. We'd love to have you tune in with us. Let us know what you think of the episode. Best way to do that is actually to swing on by our Discord room. We have a chat room that we would love to talk Star Trek with you, and it's a great community of passionate fans of not just Star Trek, but video games, Marvel, you name it. We'd love to have you be a part of it, so check that out. Link for that in the show notes as well. If you'd like to support us, the best way you can do so is by leaving a review either in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else that you get your podcasts. Head on over, leave a 5-star review, and tell us why you love the show. That would really be helpful, and we'd appreciate it. That's the best way to support the show right now. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.